It's going live as soon as I say okay. Your event is starting. And we should be live. I've got the notification. That seems like good enough.
Too.
It's good enough validation for me. So guys, welcome to Recycle Bin. This is episode number 15.
What?
And I need to remember which camera I need to look at because I'm on this camera, not that camera. No. And yeah, so in case you guys missed last week's Recycle Bin on Bear's channel, if that's the case, we did have a couple of big milestones for both of us. Bear hit 128 subs and is now, I think, at 132, last I checked.
Oh, really?
And I'm at 155. So, woohoo! Bear does have a giveaway going on. Bear, do you want to just throw that in chat? I forgot to put your link to that in the description so people can check out the video.
Yeah. I will, if I can find it. The first thing I guess I can share would be my video in which I am talking about my giveaway and how there's 128. I think, personally, I think maybe they're crazy or maybe I know something. You know, one or the other. Oh my gosh. So I'm also one of those people where I can't watch my own videos after I've sent them out there because I'm like, that's my voice, really? And now I'm looking at myself before my haircut and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Anyways, here is that video.
Okay, cool. So that's in the chat now. I guess I can link a video. I did a video where I just mentioned, basically, that I did hit 150. So, I also mentioned that I will be giving away, in the next week or two, to celebrate 150, a Raspberry Pi Zero, with a couple other little accessories. You guys can check out the video for... okay, I gotta click on it to get the link. So you guys can check out the video for more information on that. And that'll be in the description as well as here in the chat. I'll add Bear's video to the description as well. I don't have a Gleam set up yet. I haven't actually set up my giveaway yet. I've just decided I'm gonna do it. So, yeah, so go check out Bear's giveaway, sign up for it, but only if you're going to actually watch his videos, because otherwise you're a dirtbag.
Maybe you're also just helping me get rid of one of the many cases I have in my house.
Try to help you rack up those views.
Yeah. So, no, I would like for the subscriptions, people who are subscribed to me, to be real, but I know that some of it just fluctuates whenever you do giveaways.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And some people will stick around afterwards, which is perfectly fine, because that tells me you're actually interested in the content I have. And the others, it's like, oh, I didn't win, I'm off. So it's like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, every time, I think I've done 2 other giveaways, and after each one of those, it was always, big spike right before it ended, and then a dip of 2, 3, 4 right after. Usually it's like right after there's an immediate like 1 or 2, and then like a couple weeks later, like over the next couple weeks, you lose 2 or 3 more.
Yep, kind of thing. They get notified. Oh, they put out another video. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot. I was gonna unsubscribe to that guy since I didn't win.
Right, yeah. So, which I mean, if they're not interested in the content, then by all means unsubscribe.
Yeah.
It's not helpful for anybody if you don't actually want to see our stuff, basically. So without any further ado, I think we can go ahead and roll into our first, not topic, but our first bit here, and that's the PC Part Picker Challenge. So a quick introduction if you guys are new here. This is a challenge that was introduced by Dr. Z Pucci, one of Bear's followers. One of my followers now too, but originally he was Bear's. I stole him. So each week, what we do is we issue a challenge to each other to come up with a part list on PC Part Picker that falls within a certain budget and theme requirement. All parts must be compatible. All parts must have a price and availability on PC Part Picker, as well as the price cannot include any mail-in rebates. The audience, that is you guys, will vote each week on which build they like the best. We will allow the voting to happen for an entire week until the next live stream, at which time we will announce the winner of the previous challenge. After we present our builds, we will actually go ahead and look at what our challenge for next week will be, and the whole cycle just keeps going week after week until we explode or can't think of anything else to do.
I'm hoping explosion comes first.
That would probably get more views than just running out of ideas.
Exactly.
So so let's go ahead and take a look at last week's challenge, which was the $2,500 G-Sync build. And if you're ready, we'll go ahead and take a look at the results. I'm not going to wait for you to answer, by the way.
Hey.
Oh, okay. So Bear won with 3 votes to my 1. So 75% victory there. Congratulations.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you kindly.
I knew I should have voted. It wouldn't have helped me anyways.
I did not vote. So.
Yeah, so I think we both kind of decided to stop voting in these ourselves.
Yep.
Just to give us a true idea of how many people are actually involved in the voting and get involved in the challenge, and kind of give us a good gauge on who's, if you're interacting with it, you're probably enjoying it, right? So either way, we're going to keep doing it because it's fun for us, right?
Yep.
So, Bear, I've got your build up. Do you want to go ahead and... oh, I'm sorry. I should introduce the build challenge. So, last week we issued the challenge of a $5,000 Mini ITX full setup. So, we went total overkill with the budget. We actually both struggled to fill the budget.
We did.
It was pretty interesting. So, we kind of had to go outside of the norm. Obviously, you can only shove so many components into a Mini ITX build. So, Bear, go ahead and take it away.
So the first thing I did is I put the most expensive CPU into a ASUS ROG Strix Z270i Mini ITX, which was the i7-7700K. And then I decided, what the heck, let's rainbow vomit all over this case. So I threw in a Thermaltake Water 3.0 ring RGB 240mm, which can fit in the very top of this case. By the way, this case is a BitPhoenix Prodigy Mini ITX tower case. And what's nice about this case is you have the support for 240mm radiator on the top, and then fans on both the front and back, 120mm. So the Corsair Dominator Platinum RAM, I did a 32 gig variant, 2 sticks of 16 at 3200, and then memory. Let's talk about memory. Because of my case, I was able to throw in just tons of hard drives, and because I had $800 to kill, I threw in 32 terabytes of Seagate Barracuda Pro hard drives. I thought this would be a great thing to raid together. This way, you will never have to worry or wonder if you'll ever have run out of hard drive space for your Grand Theft Auto updates or your Star Citizen updates. So, you're welcome. As well, the operating system is going to run off a Crucial MX300, which is a 1.1 terabyte solid-state drive. I also threw in a ASUS... Never mind the cat. I also threw in a ASUS...
Careful, you can get us flagged for that shot.
Oh, she was in shot. Oh. I also threw in an ASUS 1080 Ti. It is the Strix, so it's also RGB. And then I threw in a Thermaltake Tough Power Grand RGB 850 watt gold certified, fully modulated. It's you.
RGB, all the things.
I did. And then I went ahead and I had to buy 6 case fans because I'm going to replace the fans on the water cooler for the AIO CPU cooler, and then I'm going to put one on the front and one on the back. And then I got 2 spare fans. I really don't know what I'm going to do with them. Maybe I can do a push-pull config on the radiator.
Yeah, so the radiator he has 2 of the ring fans on it though, right? Because the Thermaltake ring.
Oh.
So you already would be doing push-pull. Because you would just add the 2 on the back. So I guess you still end up with 2 extra fans, but...
Yep. I still end up with 2 extra fans. That's okay.
So you just tape them to the outside and turn on the RGB.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm just gonna put them on the outside of the case. It'll be a push-pull-pull. Or
Yeah, just make them...
or a pull-push-push.
You make them, personal coolers. So you get them on some flexible arms on the outside of the case and just point them at your face while you're gaming.
Yeah, I like it. And then I got a ASUS ROG Swift 1440p 100Hz monitor. So that cost a pretty penny. And then I just went all Razer with the keyboard, the mouse, and the headphones. Keyboard being the Black Widow Chroma version 2. Mouse being the Razer Naga Chroma wired. And then the headphones being the Razer Man of War with 7.1 surround. And basically I went with all of that so it too can be RGB, because RGB is all the craze.
Yeah.
Just like fidget spinners.
So it looks like with all that, you still had about $72, $72.50 left.
Yep.
In your budget. Alright. So without any delay, I'll jump into my build. I was actually disappointed that the X99 Mini ITX board wasn't available anymore.
What?
ASRock had the... Well, they had 2. They had one that was a server grade board, and they had a consumer grade one, X99 board. There was only one on the consumer side.
Sad day.
Yeah. Yeah, so if that was there, that definitely would have made it into this build, but since that didn't happen, I still managed to get us some 8-core goodness with the 1800X Ryzen 7 processor, and the BioStar X370 Mini ITX, because it's the only one available in Mini ITX on PC Part Picker right now. They have a X370, a B350, and Gigabyte has either come out with one or is coming out with one, but this is the only one that was currently available through PC Part Picker. I'm going to cool that with the Kraken X62, so I got some RGBs going on the pump there, nothing in the fans though. And memory is going to be 2 16 gig sticks of G.Skill at 3200. Boot drive is a Samsung 960 Pro 512 gig NVMe drive. We've got 2 Seagate Constellation 4TB drives that I would run probably in a redundant RAID for data integrity. And for GPU, I went with the same Asus 1080 Ti Strix edition card. Went with the NZXT Manta Mini ITX computer case. I couldn't find the one I wanted to use, so this was kind of my runner-up case. But gives you a good amount of room to build in. It's got a nice side panel window. It's good and black. It's a good looking case. I'm not a big fan of the bowed side panels on it, but it's what it is. EVGA Supernova 650 watt power supply, fully modular, gold certified. 2 AOC 35 inch 3440 by 1440 100 Hz monitors, and then for keyboard I went with the Cooler Master Master Key Pro S, Logitech G502 wired mouse, and Asus Strix 7.1 channel headset, mostly just because of this right here. I like the way it looks when it lights up, and it's got kind of like the owl eyes from the Strix logo on the ear cups. Not that you would ever see it while you're wearing it, but I just thought it was cool, so I threw that in there. And so I came to a grand total of $49.85 and 83 cents. So pretty close to hitting that $5,000 limit. Alright, so I'll go ahead and throw the straw poll in the chat here so you guys can vote on who is the winner of the $5,000 Mini ITX challenge. And again, this will be in the description after we finish the stream, so anybody watching the rebroadcast will be able to vote on this as well.
Hey, Burning Gems.
And yeah, so yeah, I've been chatting with Burning Gems there in the chat a little bit.
I forgot to pop this out.
yeah, I usually pop it out and keep it floating somewhere nearby. we'll go ahead and jump into our topics for the evening. We're running on a pretty good schedule here, about 15 minutes in, getting to the topics already. So our first topic here is going to be from ARS Technica. I'm going to do a couple of science topics. This is by Beth Mole. And custom cancer vaccines safely fight and kill tumors in early human trials. So essentially what's going on here is, just kind of a quick and dirty overview, is the way cancer cells kind of hide from your immune system and make your immune system think that they're supposed to be there is by binding themselves to two proteins called PD-1 and PD-L1. And essentially these proteins send a signal to your T cells that tells them to stand down. It's basically kind of the Jedi mind trick, these are not the cancer cells you're looking for. So it interferes with it interferes with the T cells' ability to detect them as foreign, basically, to your body. So that was one of the earlier treatments for, or one of the earlier methods that were attempted to use to treat cancer, by removing those proteins, the binding to those proteins, so that your immune system would say, hey, wait a second, that's not supposed to be here, and actually start fighting the cancer cells. But that doesn't always work, and so sometimes the T cells just still aren't motivated to attack. So one of the other things that doctors would do is actually collect T cells from your body and genetically modify them to fight cancer cells, and then put them back into your body. And apparently this was really effective, highly effective at wiping out cancer cells in human trials, but occasionally it would kill the patient because basically your immune system would go into like full body extreme response and just kind of start attacking your entire body.
Wow. That is
so those are kind of the early versions. So there's two new trials that have been run with a new method, where essentially what they do is they actually analyze the cancer cells in your body, and they find the mutations in your particular cancer cells that are different from the rest of your body, and are actually able to find the mutant proteins that would be the most likely to trigger an immune response in your system, harvest that, and then create a vaccine out of it. And then by using that vaccine, they train your immune system to actually fight these cancer cells. So what they call these proteins, these mutant proteins that would trigger an immune response, are called neoantigens. So they've run 2 trials so far. In the first trial, they had 6 patients, and they got 5 vaccinations in a month, and then a booster at 12 and 20 weeks. And the 4 of them started the trial with stage 3 melanoma. All these trials are done with melanoma specifically. So they're saying the next set of trials will be with, a varied set of cancers, and also with control groups, I believe was one of the things they mentioned as well. But all the patients had melanoma. 4 of them were in stage 3, and after 2 years of treatment, all 4 showed no signs of cancer. The remaining 2 had stage 4 melanoma that had spread to their lungs, and they both had recurrence within the first year, but with a follow treatment of the original, what we talked about in the beginning, the PD-1 immunotherapy, where they actually break the bonding of those proteins from your cancer cells. They were cancer-free after going through with that immunotherapy. So in the second trial, they actually had, I think it was 13 patients. 8 of them were cancer-free during the follow-up period from 12 to 23 months, and the other 5 all had relapses, but one of them was able to become cancer-free again after the anti-PD-1 immunotherapy. So, all things considered, that's a pretty astonishing success. Both researchers in both studies were able to confirm that the patients had cancer-killing T cells activated by the vaccines in their body. So it basically validates the success of these trials of this method of curing cancer. So obviously the numbers are very small. There were no control groups in use, so they're going to have to do a lot more testing with this as they move forward, and there's going to have to be a lot of this process is right now extremely costly and extremely time consuming, so they're actually going to have to figure out ways to streamline the process and make it more cost effective. But early on, there's some very good news for anybody who is facing cancer or knows anyone who's facing cancer. It's a good lookout for the future, I would say. It's obviously not going to help too many people today, but in the next few years, it's definitely going to be something big in the medical field. So
that's just wow.
Sorry. Yeah. I know it's a really science-heavy topic. There's a lot of kind of.
It is.
I know for me, a lot of it was way over my head. I had to kind of read through it and do a little bit of research to kind of understand a little bit what's going on.
Right.
But yeah, it's again really cool stuff. Really cool leap. In science in the treatment of cancer. Like I said, this is all specific to melanoma, so they still have to validate how effective it is with other forms of cancer. And essentially, they're going to have control groups, which are basically going to be people who have the cancer but don't get any of the treatment, to validate that it is 100% in fact the treatments they're doing here that are causing the results. So, but yeah. Big news in the medical field. So for our second science topic, it crashed. I'm trying to reload. There we go. So this one's from PC Mag. So there's going to be a few ads. Let me get rid of that. PC Mag. This one's by Tom Brandt. So China has a giant panda-shaped solar panel farm that was just activated. So it's 250 acre solar farm shaped like a panda bear. So this is actually built by the United Nations Development Program. I guess it wasn't built by them. It was built by a Hong Kong-based company called Panda Green Energy. But the project is spearheaded by the United Nations Development Program. So normally they are concerned with the reduction of poverty. But they also have been taking the lead on the green initiative, on basically eco-friendly initiatives by the UN. So right now it's generating 50 megawatts of power off the grid, generating 50 megawatts of power to the grid, so contributing 50 megawatts of power to the power grid. And their plans are, I forget, I was going
to say, that's a lot of power.
It doesn't give it
push to the grid.
Yeah. It does. So it just says once it reaches. I don't know that they have a date of when they expect full completion of the project, but they plan to have it delivering 100 megawatts of power in total once it's at full capacity. So after 25 years of operation, they say they will have produced 3.2 billion kilowatt hours of electricity, equivalent to reducing coal usage by just over 1 million tons, or reducing 2.75 million tons of carbon dioxide. So they actually, Panda Green actually plans on expanding this project and also building these same facilities in Fiji and the Philippines. And part of their partnership with Panda Green, and they're also partnering with China Merchants New Energy, I guess it's just another company down there, to host a challenge for renewable energy technologies to Chinese youth. So it sounds like it's going to be like a design challenge. It's going to get kids interested in, the whole STEM fields, and specifically in the fields of
STEM or STEAM.
Kind of eco-friendly. Yeah. Well, we'll be talking about STEAM in a little bit.
Well, no, STEM. So STEM is science, technology, engineering, mathematics, right?
Right.
STEAM is supposed to be science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics.
Yeah, so they throw the arts in there.
They threw the arts.
Arts felt left out. Yeah, well, we've got enough programs with the arts. But yeah, so essentially just to get kids kind of involved in sustainable development is kind of the end goal here. So again, just kind of another cool science topic. Kind of funny that they, did this thing, and this panda that is likely visible from space. But yeah, so just kind of a way for them to kind of get notoriety and kind of, I guess, try and gear this towards kids. And on that note, since I just got another ad pop up, let's go and go to another page. So our first hardware topic for the day is from Ars Technica. This one's by Kyle Orlando, and Xbox One X Benchmarks are detailing its 4K capabilities. So the long and short of it is, they ported some things from Xbox One over to the One X, and games that were already running at 1080p on the One X, surprise, surprise, ran pretty well at 4K on the One X. Things running on the One at 900 or 720p, whenever trying to be pushed to full 4K, were struggling. So they don't mention what title it is, but one title went from 720p 60 FPS on the base hardware to 4K 38 FPS on the One X port. So they weren't able to hit their 4K 60 FPS claim on that. And they mention here, Kyle Orlando mentions here that things we already kind of know, but that they're going to have to resort to checkerboard and dynamic scaling rendering to be able to achieve their 4K goals with the Xbox One X. So yeah, basically true 4K in every title is clearly not going to happen.
Right.
Now, it may be easier for them to do this because what is also mentioned here, oh wow, okay, so Burning Gems just mentioned in the chat here that local to him, nuclear plant produces 1,240 megawatts of power compared to the 50 megawatts of that one solar farm. So how many giant pandas on the ground equal just one nuke? So yeah, it's quite a bit. I think a lot of this though was kind of gimmicky as far as trying to just get notoriety with them doing a panda-shaped solar farm. So yeah. Alright, so back to the Xbox topic here. Basically, one of the things that's mentioned here is that these are all ports that were done over, so once things are actually explicitly written for the One X and its specific hardware, it may get better, because one of the things that is kind of a benefit for consoles is that it's unified hardware. Whenever a developer is developing for an Xbox One game, or an Xbox One X game, or a PS4 game, or a 3DS game, they know it's always going to run on the same hardware. Well, maybe not with 3DS, because they have like 17 different models. But they always know that, it's going to run on this one set of hardware, and that they can optimize their code to run on that one set of hardware much better than they can for something like PC, where, there's such a wide variety of components.
I'm like realizing, I need to move that out of camera.
You have a shipping label or something there?
Uh-huh. Although it's not like it hasn't been, advertised all over awesome hardware.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, probably got a little bit more notoriety from that than you will on this.
Yes. Or at least for the time being, I don't know. So
yeah, on
that's kind
our
of
next
sad.
What's that?
The 720 trying to be pushed to full 4K.
Yeah. So titles that, when you think about it, there was something that was running at 720 on the Xbox One was running at 720 because Xbox One was struggling to run it at 1080p, and so they dropped it so they could hit their 720 plus frame rate goal. Right, so it only makes sense that when they try and upscale it to 4K on the One X, even with all of its improvements, it's not going to be able to run quite as well. So, but again, we'll see what happens once they have games, not just ports from the old console to the new. Once they have actual games developed specifically for the One X, that may actually improve somewhat. So time will tell.
Yeah. So Burning Gems, I do want to touch on that solar panel thing again. Which is, I think you're right, Johnny, that it's kind of a gimmicky thing.
Right.
But at the same time, if you do something gimmicky, you start a conversation. And I think when you start a conversation on solar energy and renewable energy sources and such, I think that helps with helping educate people and help everyone better understand the use of nuclear versus coal versus, hydro versus solar, and just what we can do to take care of our neighborhood. you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Yeah. So that's what I meant was, I guess I didn't mean to downplay what they were doing
no,
out there, but it's definitely like, yeah, it's definitely just something to kind of get the word out, to spread the word, and get, like I said, get the kids interested in the field,
right.
to kind of help push the value of it and help push the growth of that field to greater heights. Yeah, because the more people that are interested in it, the more people that are working on it, the more people that are talking about it, the bigger it's going to get, the more efficient they're going to get. I've seen things, I don't have a specific article for it, but I think it was sometime in the last week or two I saw a blurb about, offshore solar farms, where they're basically floating solar farms on the water. We're kind of, I want to say it was Japan, because Japan does everything, but I want to say it was something they were talking about doing in Japan or something like that. But
Yeah.
so on to the next topic. Again, hardware. We've got benchmarks leaked for RX Vega. So we know Vega Frontier Edition came out, which is their, more professional geared card, and people did gaming benchmarks on it, and people were disappointed because somewhere out there in the rumor mill, someone started a rumor that it was going to be competing with the GTX 1080 Ti. Other YouTubers have talked about this. And, yeah, no, we're going to say burning gems that, you're not against it or anything, but yeah, I totally agree. The efficiency needs to get better. I think that's what, that's going to help push this to get there.
Right.
But what a lot of YouTubers have mentioned is the fact that Vega was announced and being compared to the GTX 1080 long before the 1080 Ti ever came out, and AMD's been targeting the 1080 with RX Vega, clearly through their marketing, not the 1080 Ti. And I mean, I think anybody who's been following the industry pretty fairly closely would see that the 1080 Ti was released solely to be able to compete, to give them the top dog bragging rights against RX Vega whenever it does eventually come out. Because that's the thing is, I forget how long it was. It was I think it was over a year after the 1080 came out before they finally released the 1080 Ti. And I think that's the longest, don't quote me because I don't have any numbers to back this up, but I think that's the longest period of time it's taken them to release a Ti variant on a card like that. So I think it's pretty apparent that that was in direct response to RX Vega, and it's whenever AMD first started talking about it. That's why NVIDIA went ahead and pulled the trigger on the 1080 Ti. So with that kind of somewhat covered, we know that SIGGRAPH is kicking off at the end of this month, and that's when AMD has said they will announce and officially launch RX Vega. So we actually have seen out in the wild on 3D Mark 11. So 3D Mark 11, if you're not aware, is a synthetic benchmark, and it logs all of its results online. Well, a device showed up in one of its benchmark entries under the ID of 687F:C1. In all of AMD's press that they've put out about the RX Vega, this is the same code name seen on their own press releases. So we know this is the RX Vega card that's been marketed and compared to the GTX 1080 since it was first, announced, first talked about by AMD. So this particular model, according to the results from the benchmark, is running at 1630 megahertz core clock and 1890 megahertz clock speed on the HBM2 memory. So this particular RX Vega version scored 31,874 points on 3D Mark 11. This is roughly, according to the article, 15% faster than a GTX 1080. Obviously still not as fast as the 1080 Ti. So Joker Productions is another YouTube channel. He actually did a video talking about this as well that I saw, and what he did was he took his own 1080 and 1080 Ti and benchmarked both of them on 3D Mark 11 to compare to the RX Vega. So he confirmed that the score is higher than a GTX 1080 at stock speeds. However, when he overclocked his 1080, it did manage to beat out the RX Vega. I forget what his score was. I want to say it was like 33,000 and something, or either high 32s or low 33,000s with an overclocked 1080. Now again, this is assumedly a stock RX Vega. So we still have overclocking on RX Vega to see how well we can boost performance with that, to see what it's going to be like. But the 1080 Ti, if I remember correctly, his 1080 Ti at stock scored somewhere around 34, and when overclocked was scoring over 37,000. So I don't know if there's any hope, or that there should have ever been any expected hope of RX Vega being able to beat a GTX 1080 Ti in any form, fashion, or way. So the other thing to note here is that in the benchmarking results entry, it was noted that the card was running 8 gigabytes of RAM, so we do know for sure it's 8 gigabytes of HBM2 memory on the RX Vega card.
Okay.
So again, time will tell. There's still going to be, obviously, the other thing to consider here is driver improvements, driver refinement. You gotta remember the 1080 has been out for like a year and a half now. It's had a lot of time for driver refinement, whereas RX Vega is going to be brand new. So we'll see how it will perform at launch. I would say probably 2 to 3 months in, we'll probably see those numbers creep up. Not a ton, but probably a little bit. Couple 2-3% higher numbers once you get driver improvements out there. Yeah, so that's all I got on the RX Vega. Any thoughts on Vega?
No. It'd be nice to have something competing with the 1085.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is too, when you look at, that's not all I have. When you look at AMD, they've never really, not for a while anyways, have competed in the top tier of GPU in GPU class, right? So even when you look at the R9 2 and 3 series, the R9 290 and R9 390, like the R9 390 competed with the GTX 970, which was more of a upper mid-range card. You still had the 980, 980 Ti. They never really competed with those top tier brackets. I mean, they kind of did with the Fury cards. Could compete somewhat with a 1080 or a 980. But yeah, I mean, there was never. It's been a while, I feel like, since AMD's really competed in the toe-to-toe in the top tier with NVIDIA. But again, they were never targeting the 1080 Ti. They made it clear in all their marketing since day one when they started talking about Vega that they're targeting the GTX 1080. So if they can, slightly outperform a 1080 and come in a few dollars cheaper, it's probably going to be a win. Even if they're similarly priced, right? Yeah. Even if they come out at the same $500 MSRP and are able to match performance or slightly beat it, it's still a win for the red team because it does add a variety of choice to the market. You can get something that is a very high performing part from AMD as well.
Right, and if they stick to the GDDR5, I bet you it will be eaten up just as quickly as all of their other cards that they've recently been putting out for crypto mining. So.
Right. Yeah. So that's the thing is, I don't know.
Like, what are they going to price it at now?
Well, no, not so much the pricing. I don't know how much better Vega. I don't think Vega is going to be any better at crypto mining than, say, a 580 or a 1070 or anything else like that. Because, well, I take that back. Not crypto mining, specifically Ethereum mining, because Ethereum's been the hot button, topic. The one that everybody's talking about is Ethereum. Ethereum is heavily memory based. And so, yes, it's going to have much faster memory, but it's also about the algorithm. That's why 1080 and 1080 Ti do not hash Ethereum as well as a 1070. A 1080 is actually slower than a 1070 hashing Ethereum because of the GDDR5X memory.
I thought a 1080 had GDDR5, and then I thought the Ti has GDDR5X.
No, I believe they both have GDDR5X because that's why the 1080 is actually slower than a 1070.
Now I gotta Google 1080 specs. Yeah,
it does like a stupid animation pop-up. Yeah, GDDR5X.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. That's why it's slower on a 1080 than a 1070 because
Right.
the algorithm for Ethereum works, so it likes fast memory, but something about GDDR5X, I don't know the specifics well enough to speak to why, but the algorithm likes fast GDDR5. It doesn't like GDDR5X, even though it's faster than GDDR5. So I don't know that, and even if you can see, Fury cards that have been run with HBM, and they don't really perform any better or much better than like a 390 or a 290 running on Ethereum. So I don't know that, for the increased price, maybe if they come out at $500 and they're just cheaper than a 580 because 580s don't exist, and then they may get chewed up by miners. I'm hoping before then we see the actual mining specific cards that we've talked about before,
Right.
that NVIDIA and AMD are bringing out. I'm hoping we see those before that point to kind of help curb the appetite of the miners, so that we can actually get some RX Vega cards out there in legitimate gaming PCs. But
Yeah.
alright, I think we spent enough time talking about Vega. So we've just got a couple topics left in the gaming category here. And first off, we're going to look at PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. They are guaranteeing that it will leave early access by October. This is by Joe Connolly at PC Gamer. And essentially they had a talk with Brendan Green, who is PlayerUnknown, the guy who's behind this game itself. But basically saying that he expects, within the next 6 months they'll be done because I think the quotes actually up here. It's the team. It's a matter of honor. We will finish this game in 6 months. So he does at one point in the article say 6 to 7 months. So, but he seems to be more or less committed to getting out of early access within the next 6 months and getting to a full release of the game. So
Nice.
yeah, so that'll be pretty cool. And then I'm just gonna let this play down here at the bottom. There's a little GIF here of a scene
Love that gift.
from a match. Yeah, so that's pretty good. Cool. Next topic, OpenFor. So we talked about last week that OpenFor is back online, and there is still a little bit of fallout from that. The OpenFor team has actually pulled the plug on their Liberty City and GTA 5 mod. So just to give you kind of a little bit of background on this, the team at OpenFor, was working on a pretty massive mod. Yeah, I had a really bad yawn. Don't start. Alright, we can't get into a cycle here. I'm sorry, this is actually PC Gamer by Andy Chalk, by the way. But the team at OpenFor was working on a massive game-changing really mod to actually grab Liberty City from 4 and bring it into 5 and have two cities, Liberty City and Los Santos, exist at the same time in the same game. So you would be able to like catch a flight from one city to the other, and you'd be able to go back and forth from the two cities within the same game. So OpenFor got a cease and desist order from Take-Two Interactive, who owns Rockstar. After about a week or so and a lot of outcry by the community, Rockstar contacted the developers and basically gave them the go-ahead to continue their development of the modification application, and basically saying they would have to work with them to ensure that they blocked out multiplayer mods from the game. So I'm not going to read everything verbatim here, but there's some statements here from the OpenFor team, what they wrote. But they do mention here, unfortunately, our highly anticipated mod, Liberty City and GTA 5, will not be released because it clearly contradicts with Rockstar modding policy. So that there tells me it probably has to do with the fact that they're taking IP from the one game, modifying it and bringing it into another game. So yeah, honestly, I feel like they're being a little bit stingy here. Rockstar is, by not letting them continue with this mod, because I don't know that it's really hurting anybody. I don't know how it's going to hurt their sales for them to bring in the map from the old game and bring it into the new one. So I don't know. I don't think anybody's going out right now and buying 4 instead of 5 or alongside 5 just to be able to play in that map.
Right.
Either if you didn't have 4 already, you're probably not going to buy 4. You're just going to buy 5. So I don't know. But anyways, so that project's dead. They do go on to mention that this Liberty City mod is a big loss for us, since it was a huge part of our motivation to push OpenFor functionality, and we are down at the bottom here. They say we are currently revising our plans for the future. So it sounds like maybe they have another big project in mind, hopefully. I'm hoping this doesn't end up leading to kind of the downfall of OpenFor, because they do mention here that, the Liberty City mod that they're working on was a big part of their motivation for the OpenFor functionality. So we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully they find another project that they can get into, to kind of fill that void for them and keep their motivation up. But who knows? Maybe we'll see a bigger and better project come out of this from the OpenFor team. So I know you said you had picked up the PC version specifically to have access to mods. Have you had a chance to goof around with anything yet?
Yeah. Oh, good night, Jim. Good night, Vernon.
Oh. Yep. Good night. Thanks for showing up.
The only thing I've been able to do was virtual reality in GTA.
Right.
It was very overwhelming at first. Oh my goodness. Because it's like, hey, when you get into the game in the VR, first thing they tell you to do, go into your graphical settings and kick it back.
Right.
And I got overexcited that I was in GTA, right? Big old. And so I just started running around, and I got motion sick within not even 10 minutes, which for me, is a big thing, because I've been able to pull. It's not good for you, anyone watching me. It's not good to do 3 hours straight inside virtual reality Minecraft, but I've been able to do it before.
So was it like a frame rate issue? Was it just like a lot of stuttering, or?
No, I don't know what it was exactly. The frame rate was not choppy.
The frame rate?
Frame rate.
Yeah.
The frame rate was not choppy. Everything looked crystal clear. Everything.
That's a silly question. Did you have motion blur enabled?
No.
Okay.
And that's
I always turn it off because I hate it even not in VR, so I'm not a fan of motion blur, but...
Well, motion blur is supposed to be a good thing for your eyes.
Really?
Yeah, motion blur. Our eyes do it in real life. In
Right.
reality, like if you're driving down the road, you see what's in front of you. Everything else kind of becomes a blur.
Right. No, I understand. The reason I don't like it is because it's a... Motion blur is trying to simulate a real life effect that doesn't happen in in a digital environment.
Right.
And so I would think that trying to simulate motion blur in that would actually make things worse.
Possible. So the first thing they say to do is turn off MSAA. Like that was the first thing they said to do.
Right.
And then kick it down as you feel necessary. And at the same time, I'm also running a 980 Ti with 6 gigs of GDDR5. I'm not running like a 1070 or anything like that.
I mean, unless it's it may have changed over time, but I remember when the 10 series first came out, 1070 and the 980 Ti are not terribly far apart in performance.
I feel that my...
the 1070 is slightly ahead, but I don't believe it's by much more than 4 or 5%.
Well, a 1060 has 6 gigs of GDDR5 and is on the new architecture. Therefore, I believe that the 1060 is actually a slight step up from the 980 Ti.
So 1060. So compute-wise, right? A 1060 is roughly equivalent to a 980.
Correct.
And power-wise. So I see what you're saying. Memory-wise.
Yes.
But I still think that running the game, unless you're running like a bunch of texture packs or trying to run it at like higher resolution, or trying to turn up resolution scaling, I still think that you'd be better off with a 980 Ti than a 1060. Hey, you have a 1060 in your house, don't you?
I do.
That'd be a good video. You should do a comparison video between the two and see which one gets you more bang for more performance per dollar.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that. So.
Exciting news, guys! I finally started benchmarking my Ryzen build. So I can do a benchmark video. So I did the build like forever ago now, it feels like, and I never got around to benchmarking, and then now it spends part of its life mining, so I'm like, do I really want to stop the mining to do benchmarking? So I started doing some benchmarking. I got some game benchmarks. I did GTA 5, Metro Last Light Redux, and Ghost Recon Wildlands have all been benchmarked. I've done all the 3D Mark synthetics, and I did superposition from Unigine. So that's probably going to be all the, gaming benchmarks I'm going to do. And I'll probably do some CPU benchmarks on it as well, and I may even do some like CAD benchmarks. I have an AutoCAD and a Revit benchmark that I do for my day job that I may run on this just for fun.
Oh, yeah.
To see what, because actually, so funny story, this rig is 6-core 12-thread Ryzen with a GTX 1070. My desktop at work is a 6-core 12-thread Xeon with a M5000 Quadro card, which is, the closest equivalent on the GeForce side to it is a 980. So yeah, I kind of want to run the CAD benchmarks on my desktop here and see how it compares, because I built this for roughly 1,000-ish, call it 1,200, because I carried over storage. So this is roughly a $1,200 PC build, and the computer that I use at work, if I remember correctly, was about a $3,000 computer. So, and I mean, that was when we bought it new. We bought it new a little over a year ago, so, I mean, you can get more GPU performance for the same.
Right.
Oh, no, yeah, we're not skipping that, Bear. I just haven't got to it yet. Got sidetracked. So yeah, let's go ahead and finish out our last topic, right, since we got 9 minutes left. So Valve slideshow teases an upcoming Steam UI update by Andy Chalk on, what is this on? PC Gamer. So Valve attended Indigo 2017 in the Netherlands last week, which was basically a business and developers event kind of thing. But they had a bunch of slide decks up. Well, basically they were talking about doing a UI refresh and update. They're saying the biggest changes are going to come to the library. So apparently you're supposed to be able now to quickly launch back into recent games, discover games in your library that have activity, events updates, friend activity, were specifically mentioned. I'm literally just reading down the slides right now.
Right.
So, game launch page is going to have a rich display of content, whatever that's supposed to mean. Community screenshots, artwork guides, etc. Achievements, badges, items, friend activity and broadcast, official events, updates, and news. And this last slide here was actually pretty interesting. There's a Steam is big and growing slide.
Yeah.
So they mentioned that they have a peak of 14 million concurrent users right now. Their peak in 2015 was 8.4 million. So it seems like a pretty decent amount of growth in 2 years, because I think it's mentioned in the article down here that 14 million peak was in January of this year. So yeah, that's pretty good. 33 million daily active players, 67 million monthly active, and 27 million new purchases since January 2016. So nearly 1.5 million purchases per month.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I'm noticing as I'm going through this, it looks as though, like, all of this sounds like, if you have an Xbox, you know exactly what I'm talking about with the Xbox activity feed, where it shows you rich display of content, community screenshots, artwork, guides, achievement, badges, items, friend activity and broadcasts, and other official events, updates, and news. That's all in the Xbox activity.
Yeah. So what I see, I think what this is going to be is kind of like, I think they're trying to bring somewhat, maybe I don't have this quite right, but I feel like this is somewhat of like the big picture mode trying to come down. So they're trying to bring that console experience,
right,
like they were trying to do with the big picture mode, into the normal desktop app, to try and kind of freshen it up, because I think they realized that they put up big picture mode, but I don't know anyone that uses big picture mode.
I don't.
So I think that may be kind of them trying to take that, and they tried to do that freshen up of the UI with big picture mode, and now I think they're realizing that nobody's using it, so they're trying to figure out how to bring that into the desktop view.
You know when I would use that? I'll be honest. If I would use that, I would have my Xbox One controller, connected to like an ITX system that you and I, built.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
have a wireless receiver on the back. That way you can turn it on, because Steam has it set so that you can make an option so that when you press the home guide button, it opens up Steam in big picture mode.
Right.
So put a little chat pad on your controller. You can sign in with that, and then you can press your guide button, hold up big Steam, picture mode, and then play your game.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what it was intended for. I just think not as many people do that as they had hoped for.
Right.
Not as many people set up a multimedia PC in their living room that they also game off of, and then. So, anywho, that's all the topics I have. You have anything else you want to add there, Bear? Anything to talk about?
I don't know if I'm excited for this new change that Steam is bringing out. However, I will say the thing I like about Steam is that when they do update things, it's usually accepted. When they update it, it's been a long time since they've updated before. Something that's big and noticeable like this. Versus, well, I'll say the Xbox, because again, I have that and I play it. Which it seems to be frequent. It seems to be like, I just got done learning the old system, now there's a new one, right? And then I also feel like with Xbox, that you remove very helpful stuff. One of the things I always liked is I could press the guide button or the home button, and it would go back to my home screen, and it would still show whatever app I had and how it was still running. And I thought it was really nice. Now you do that, and it all just goes home, and you don't see anything.
Right. Yeah, I think that's part of it too. Is I feel like Steam, or Valve in general, tend to listen to the community.
Yes.
And they tend to take community feedback to heart and actually care about what the user experience is like. So I think that's a big part of it, is just the difference in the way the companies operate.
Yeah.
Microsoft.
We can't just bash on Microsoft, though. I mean, have you seen what was it? The people who own Call of Duty, not Infinity Ward, but Activision.
Yeah, Activision, right?
You don't know what you want.
I have not.
What you want.
Yeah, I didn't see that. You mentioned it, I think, last week too.
Infinity Warfare. No one wanted it. Everyone wanted to go back to the World War I, World War II.
Right. So, to be fair, Apple started that. You don't know what you want. We know what you want.
Yeah, no headphone jack. You all want that.
Yeah, they started that a long time ago, my friend. A long time ago. I think they started that right about the time Steve Jobs jumped on board. Anyways, so wow, it's 9:57. We're done with all our topics. I think we're out of things to talk about for the time being. I think we did pretty good today.
Yeah.
Came right up on the end of the show. Now I feel like it's awkward and we're not going to end it well, so.
Well, so I do have the thing that you're not skipping.
Oh, the thing that wait. No, now I'm confused. Now I'm not sure what you're talking about.
The thing you said you're not going to skip.
Oh, I didn't actually read that. Maybe I should have actually read that. I assumed you were talking about the last topic.
Nope.
Oh, I have no clue what you're talking about then.
It's highlighted.
Oh, I didn't even see that. I'm sorry. I haven't been looking at the... Oh. Jeez. What's this chart? Should I open that chart? What is that?
Yep, open that chart.
It's what?
It's a QR code.
It's a QR... It is a QR code. Okay, I'll put that on the stream then.
It's for anyone who has a smartphone. Discord works really well on smartphones, I feel. It's a Discord QR code, yeah.
Yeah. I got you. I'm an idiot.
So, basically...
So yeah, go ahead. Go with that. I'm sorry. I totally did not see you add that to the doc.
So I am basically going to build a budget system, and which is going to be kind of my channel mascot. And so I wasn't originally planning on doing this so soon in my YouTube lifetime, being where I am, but I went to Fry's for the first time the other day, and I got this freaking Corsair CPU, or PSU, sorry, I got this Corsair PSU for almost half off, and I'm like, oh, that was really good. Next day, I go to my friend's, and he's showing me this computer system he's making, and he has a Z270 board inside. And I'm like, okay, that's a Z270 board. Why do you have this propping monitor up? He's like, oh, yeah, I bought that, but I realized I'd have to do a BIOS update to it, or I might have to do a BIOS update to it. So I just went ahead and got a 270. Plus, the 270 is also RGB. So I'm like, okay, so are you going to sell that or something? He's like, oh yeah, I already got it listed on Craigslist and OfferUp for about $100. And I'm like, I shouldn't, I did.
Yeah.
So.
That's funny.
And now I also have a hard drive and a CPU on the way. I have no idea what the heck I'm doing with my life. Like, I have a computer system. It's a nice computer system. I don't really need anything else. I'm building another system.
It's not about the need. It's about it's not about the need for a computer. It's about the need for the build.
Right.
It's the build itch. We all get it.
Yep.
It's undeniable. It's very hard to fight sometimes. So that's honestly, my Ryzen system was completely build itch. I really had no reason. Well, I did. I had no valid reason to build it, other than I wanted to. I wanted to get more into streaming, and doing stuff like that. So,
yeah. Well, the one thing I will say though about this is, it's always fun to watch your GPU fans just like stop spinning. Or start. The thing about this motherboard and this setup is that I'm going to have one case, and that case will be, part of the mascot. But all of the internal components are going to probably get swapped out on a regular basis into other ATX cases so that they can get reviewed inside of those other cases. So one of the things I want to do, actually, I think I just sold myself on a Cooler Master case. Gosh darn it. I want something that I can upgrade over time with the channel, which is why the CPU is the Pentium. I was not planning on getting a Z170, but for $20 more off the cheapest B250 board,
Well, and the benefit to that too is you're getting in on a very inexpensive CPU that you can easily update the BIOS on, and so now you're ready for 7th gen CPUs without worry.
Right, that too. So. And I think what I'm going to do is get the Cooler Master Master Case 5, because the thing about the Master Case 5 is it's a case that can also be upgraded over time. So if you decide later on that you want to add a liquid cooling and you need a 240 radiator on the top, you can get the liquid cooling bracket. So now your case is going to support this and look good supporting it too. So.
Yep. Yeah, that's awesome. Funny story. I'm not going to try and get them on stream right now because they're on my floor. I actually have 3 computers built right now at my desk, all running.
Running?
Yes.
Oh, what do you?
It may or may not have to do with Zcash, because I may or may not have bailed on Ethereum and started mining Zcash.
What?
But yeah. So remember, I got that old Cooler Master case, the half 932 for free. So I had a system sitting in kind of a crate running mining, and so that system ended up in there.
Oh yeah.
I have a system in my old case, my old Corsair case. Then I have my system that I did the video on, the Ryzen system and the Fantex case on my desk.
Yeah.
So I have two under my desk running headless right now, mining, and then I have the one on my desk that when I'm not using it for channel related stuff is mining. So
Jeez.
yeah, but yeah. What can I say? I do want to actually do like a real build, a legitimate build for this Cooler Master case at some point, though. It's because it's awesome. It's a really cool case. It definitely shows its age. None of the interior is painted, nor the rear I/O is painted. It's all just sheet metal, like bare sheet metal. But man, this. So if/when it doesn't make sense for me to mine anymore, this case will likely become a NAS just for the sheer drive compatibility that it has, because I can cram a ton of drives in this thing. So it may at some point become my NAS build. But yeah. Alright, we should probably go and end this. I got the text from the wife that she's annoyed and wants to come to bed.
Absolutely.
So, guys, thanks for showing up this week. Be sure to check out the description below. There's some links in there already. I'm going to add some more links to it after we end the stream. And until next week, remember, next week will be on Bear's channel, if that's the case, because we alternate weeks. Oh, one thing. We did not set the challenge for next week.
Ooh, we didn't.
So I'm thinking we do the complete opposite of what we did today, budget-wise, and go super duper low budget.
500.
I'm thinking $400.
400 done.
We've done
450.
We've done 500. So 4 flat. 400.
4 flat.
450 for 4 people.
Okay.
Wait, that doesn't work. That doesn't work.
4.
So yeah, we'll do 400 flat because I want to make it a challenge. So let's do 400 flat. We'll do 400 flat 1080p gaming system. That'll be our, everything else is open. It's just the computer. We don't have to get a monitor or anything included in that. Or if I really wanted us to kill ourselves, I would say go ahead and include a monitor for $400 on a gaming PC.
So I got the case
$400.
and the monitor sits on top of it. That's it?
Yep. There we go. Good job. So yeah, $400, just the computer build itself. 1080p gaming is what we're going to target. So yeah.
400
right.
1080p gaming.
Yeah, $400 1080 Ti PC. Go.
Yeah.
Alright, on that note, it's time to go and get off here, guys, so we will catch you next week on Bear's channel, if that's the case. Link to his channel is in the description below. I'll add the link to his giveaway in the description below as well, so you guys can go check that out. And until next time, it's Johnny O and Bear, signing off.
Good night, guys.